Welcome to the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. My name is Rita Perez. Hello. I've been a travel advisor for over 10 years and am navigating this winding road of entrepreneurship with you. I created this podcast because I wanted to share all the things I've learned from leaders both in and out of our industry that I really wish I would have known way back then. But alas, the important thing is I'm aware of them now, and I want you to be too. Ready for this week's show? Let's jump in. Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I have another fantastic guest for you today. Sandy Saburn is a travel industry strategist focused on marketing, sales, and events. She has worked in travel for more than 20 years in brick and mortar and host agencies. She has an MA in communication from Queen's University of Charlotte and a BS in business management from University of North Carolina at Wilmington. She is vice president, sales and events at the Gifted Travel Network and GIFTE, the Global Institute for Travel Entrepreneurs. Welcome, Sandy.
Thanks, Rita. So wonderful to be here. I'm excited.
I cannot wait not only to talk to you for a little bit, but also for Book More Travel Workshop coming up.
I know it is definitely a high mark on the calendar every year.
Yes. Yeah. And I was so glad, like when a couple months ago, it came out that the news that you guys were going to go virtual, and I'm like, yay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people thought maybe we would just cancel this year, but this event is way too important. And my goodness, we need it now more than ever.
Yes, agreed. Now I can only say like my experience, and I've done a couple posts, but what would you say sets Book More Travel Workshop apart from other industry events?
A couple of things. So, and as I know you have commented before, I think a couple of things make it different. Mm-hmm. So for instance, there's a real focus on entrepreneurial skills that you need to succeed. Mm-hmm. There's a real focus on being positive and having the right mindset to succeed. Mm-hmm. There's lots of opportunity, and this will be true in the virtual experience as well, for people to interact with one another and get to know their colleagues. It's a very collaborative community and very positive, wanting to share, help everybody be better community. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people are accustomed to going to these events, and it mostly centers around vendors and gaining vendor knowledge and hearing from vendors. And that's not what Book More Travel Workshop is about. In person and virtual, well, in person, the vast majority of content is about entrepreneurial skills and marketing, and giving you both an uplift and some practical tools for your toolbox.
Yep.
But on the virtual event, we aren't even going to have vendor participation. Well, except we have got some amazing vendors who are going to give away some beautiful trips and prizes. Ooh. But they won't be speaking. So it's all about great content with hours of content that we'll be sharing with people, all live. Everything's live. Nothing will be pre-recorded.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That I just remember, because I first got introduced to GIFTE at Travel Entrepreneurship Week in 2018. And at that point in my travel business, I was like, I know I needed more, but I didn't know what I needed.
Right.
And that first introduction to GIFTE and all the different programming that you guys offer, I was like, why has no one talked about this stuff before? Like, I could have been leaps and bounds if people were talking about this stuff.
I agree completely. That's exactly the same way that I felt when I went to the first conference, and I'd already been in travel for 15, 16 years at that point. And and coming from a business background and having a business degree, I wondered why nobody ever talked about this stuff. And then when I got to Book More Travel Workshop, I thought, And especially because the event was 5 miles from my house. How did I not know about this before? So we're trying to do a better job this year of making sure that people know about it. And with it being virtual, we can have as many people as we want and as want to come. Whereas in the in-person event, we really had to find a new place to be live in person because we had outgrown the ballroom and that particular resort.
Yeah, I attended last year and I was like, oh, this is nice, but I knew it was going to be changing in the future so that more agents could go.
Yes.
So in this virtual realm, what has changed for Book More Travel Workshop?
Well, from a practical logistical standpoint, obviously it's going to be on Zoom rather than in person. So it'll be accessible to everybody. Everybody knows how to use Zoom now. I mean, 18 months ago, there were a lot of people never even heard of Zoom, and now we're just all Zooming all over the place.
Yep.
But another few key changes, because we've been able to go virtual, we're able to do things that we couldn't do in person. So one of the things that people ask for every single year was, please have breakout sessions so that we have, you could do something for new people and something for experienced people. We didn't have the room in the resort to do that, but we have the room now. So that's one of the things that's different. We've gone from 2 days to 3 days. So it'll be an extra day. And another big change, everybody always asks for recordings. Please record this. There's so much here. I wanted to be able to listen to it again later. And it just financially was not feasible to hire a film crew to do that in person, but we can do it on Zoom. And so that's what we're doing. So if people want the recordings, they upgrade to the VIP package, and they will get the recordings. And it'll take us a few weeks after the event's over to go through and get everything set up in a portal, but they'll get the recordings. So those are the biggest changes for this year.
That I'm so excited for the different tracks. Now, do you have to do like one or the other, or can you kind of like mix and match what best fits what's going on in your business now?
That's a great question. And I'm glad you asked that, because people can mix and match. So we do ask people when they're signing up, and if anybody has signed up that's listening to this, you'll be getting an email saying, hey, pick your track, just mostly to kind of give us an idea of the community that's going to be there. I mean, are we 50-50? Are we 80-20? That will help us in the speakers, particularly from the stage. But you can pick whatever track you want and then take whatever workshops you want. So you might on one day do a track 1 and then a track 2 and then track 1, track 2, whatever works for you.
Okay, cool. And technology wise, is this all on Zoom, or are you utilizing like one of the big event platforms that we've seen throughout the year?
No, we're not using one of those platforms. So one of the things that I have done for the past year is I have been part of a group coaching program that's all about virtual events.
Okay.
And so it's organized by the same group of people who put on events for people like Tony Robbins and Stu McLaren and Fabian Fredrickson and lots of other names that you might have heard of. And they really recommend, and all the people in this group coaching program do the same thing. They really recommend doing just Zoom and we're not big believers in these hybrid sort of faux reality things where you feel like you're walking into a room and, it's just, funny. Yeah, some of them are kind of strange. And we're not doing any pre-recorded content. Everything will be live and everything will be on Zoom. And I think it's going to be really fantastic. We did this sort of for our Gifted Travel Network annual conference in October, and it was very well received. The difference this time is going to be that we actually are going to have a stage. We've set up a studio in our office. And so the speakers will be there, live in front of the camera rather than just like this, sitting in front of the camera at home.
Okay, cool. And then being virtual, I know one of the great things about being in person is that we can hug each other and of course talk to each other. But how can people stay connected during the event or pre or post event?
a couple of things that we're doing to make that happen. Once there's a private Facebook group just for people who've registered for the event. So once they registered, they get an email that says, hey, go, ask to be included in this private Facebook group, and we'll add you. So there's that. So it's a way for people both before, during, and after the event will be able to connect that way. Another thing is that we will have in every session, almost every session, we will have an opportunity or have breakout sessions. So you'll be in smaller groups with 3 or 4 people, doing different things. And so you'll get to know the people there. And that's a great way to make connections with people.
So are you saying is that part of the tracks, or is that part of maybe a general session and then people get broken up in breakouts?
Both. So what we'll do is in one of the general sessions, say if Meredith or Jen is presenting, or let's say Jen's doing a presentation, and she may be talking about a particular subject, and she'll say, okay, now here's what I want you to come up with. I want you to think about your own business and think about this. And in your small groups, I want each of you to share and give feedback to one another. And so we will send everybody into groups of 4. So they'll all be in their own little rooms, and they'll communicate. And then when the time is up, we bring everybody back to the big room, and then we'll ask for people to share from there. So yeah, it's really cool that the technology is really amazing.
That is so stinking exciting. I'm just an attendee, but I think I have my own posse group of travel friends that I talk with, but I feel like that is so invaluable. If I didn't know anything else about Book More Travel Workshop, that I feel is worth alone the $47 of the ticket.
Absolutely. And it is, and from registering to come to the in-person event, is obviously in person a lot more than that. Plus you have to pay the air, the hotel, and all that, and food. With this, it's a bargain, and we did that because we don't have to pay that $60,000 AV bill to the hotel. Oh, yeah. And we know it's been a hard year for travel advisors, so we really wanted to keep the ticket price as low as possible. So that's why it's $47, but it's only $47 if you register by next Friday, which is the 19th. And then after that, the early bird pricing goes away and it becomes $147.
Okay. All righty.
Which is still a great deal.
Yeah.
But why pay $147 when you can pay $47?
Exactly. Well, and that's why some of my travel advisor friends have been like, you got to do it now because it's going up.
That's all right. That's all right.
Off both of the 2 tracks.
Yes.
What would you kind of say is your favorite session from both of the tracks? The Strategic Travel Entrepreneur is brought to you by Mailbox Power. Harness the power to attract and nurture your clients through something many entrepreneurs have forgotten about, the mailbox. Create beautiful custom campaigns and automate annual mailings for birthdays and holidays. And with a pro account, get access to mailboxes not currently on your mailing list that are just waiting for the travel service you offer. Visit my Mailbox Power affiliate link in the show notes to get started today and support this podcast. Do you have a favorite or something that stands out?
Well, I think one of the things that people always really like, and I like too, is hearing from people who are actually doing the work and hearing their success stories and hearing what's working for them. And so we've got a couple of different panels on a couple of the different tracks where people are going to be sharing success stories. One is about email marketing. Another one is just more general success stories, talking about where, then these are all entrepreneurs. And I think that probably the longest one has been in business, maybe 5 years, and talking about what they've been able to achieve in this relatively short period of time. So there's that. I think those are going to be, some of my favorites. I guess I probably should have said the one session that I'm doing was going to be my favorite, but it won't be.
What session are you doing?
I'm actually doing a session about industry certifications, of which ones you need and which ones you don't.
Yeah.
And I'm going to break down, how to look at them, because unfortunately, a lot of people end up and so I want to give them some tools to do that with.
Yeah, because I did get on the certification bandwagon last year, and there was one, and I don't really want to say too much about it, but I was like, maybe it could have passed on that.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. We've done that. I too have done one in particular stands out, and I remember going through some of the content and thinking, really?
Yeah.
Really? This might have been true 20 years ago, but really? But I finished it. And so, yeah, so that's one of the ones that I'm going to have. Actually, I'm producing the event. So most of my time will be spent behind the camera, behind the scenes. So that'll be the one time I'll be doing a presentation.
Okay. Yeah. So behind the scenes, everything that's going on is going on near flawlessly because of Sandy.
Well, because of Sandy and a lot of other people. So it's not just me. I mean, we have an amazing, incredible team that works on doing all the marketing and all the different pieces that you see, and the dashboard. If some of you may have never been to an event before that has a dashboard. And so one of the things, it's just a dashboard is simply a website that you go to every day, and it has the links for everything, and it's the FAQ and all this kind of stuff. So it'll be different than any event you've ever done before. And so we want to make it as user-friendly as possible. And we have a great team behind the scenes that's doing all that. So it's definitely not all me. We've got a team of 14 amazing women who are joining forces and putting all this together.
Now, I was going to say, I am secretly, not so secretly, hoping for an awesome video from DJ Holla again.
Yeah, there will definitely be some DJing from DJ Holla, that's for sure. And she's doing a lot. Caroline has a lot of responsibility with all of the camera and the lighting and all the stuff on the main set. So she does an incredible job with that too.
That's great. You bring up a good point too, because you said that you've converted the offices a little bit to like a whole Book More Travel workshop set, right?
Right. Yeah. So all the general sessions will be from what we're calling the main stage, which is we actually expanded our office, more than doubling our space at the beginning of March last year. Okay. Great timing. So, I have a new desk I've never even sat at, because just as soon as all this happened, we ended up working from home for the last year. So we have a brand new large room that's just for training and for in-person get-togethers. And so we took over that room and have made it into a studio with lights, mics, cameras, the works. So excited about it.
That is cool. I can't wait to see it all. How can other advisors or travel entrepreneurs prepare for Book More Travel workshop?
I think the best way to prepare for it is to look at your schedule for those 3 days, March 23rd, 24th, 25th, and say, what can I get rid of from my schedule on those days so that I can be fully present? I mean, we've all gone to conferences in person and seen people who never even, like at the last Book More Travel workshop, there was one woman who spent the entire Book More Travel workshop outside on her phone or on her laptop. She didn't get one thing out of being there. Oh. She spent and I'm sure that she felt like, I have to do this, I have to respond to my clients. But sometimes you have to put aside all that and focus on you. And you develop you. And so looking at your calendar, figuring, if you've got kids, who can I shuffle the kids off to? make some casseroles, put them in the freezer, whatever. Because, listen, we're all, a lot of us are women who have families that, even though they should probably be a little more self-sufficient than they aren't always as self-sufficient as they could be. But, and making sure that you're there, that you're listening in on the sessions, that it's not just background noise, that you're fully present, fully engaged. And that's the best way to get the very most out of this event possible.
Yeah.
Because you just never know when one of those little ahas or golden nuggets is just going to drop right in your ear.
Yes. And you could have heard it a couple of times before and something just clicks, because I'll never forget. Meredith was on stage doing some spectacular speech like she usually does. And she said something that I've heard her say a couple times before. And I was like this emotion came over me, because it was finally like, oh my gosh, it finally just, the light bulb.
Because she might have said the same thing she said before, but you were in a different place. So you heard it differently. And that is so true. I mean, listen, I get the privilege of working with Meredith all the time. And sometimes she will say things and it's like, it just suddenly hits me in a different way than it did before. So even if you've attended Book More Travel Workshop in the past, this one will be different and is definitely worth attending. And if you have not ever attended before, I promise you there's nothing that you could spend $47 on that will give you the kind of impact that this will give you in your business.
Yeah, agreed. And that I actually still work full time. So when I first heard of Book More Travel Workshop, I'm like, I'm going to need 3 days off in March.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah, I blocked off the time because I was like, sometimes I can listen in on things like on earbuds and I'm like, nope, I'm going to be fully in there and taking all the great stuff that's going to come out.
Good. Well, and that's really the best way to do it. We actually, somebody, and now I don't remember who this was, somebody told us that they were had booked a hotel and they were going to go to a hotel and do the watch from there because they didn't want to be distracted by all the things going on in their house. So
fun.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Where can people get their ticket to Book More Travel Workshop?
Just go to bookmoretravelworkshop.com and you'll see all the information right there. If you register now up until the 19th, the registration is $47. And then after you've registered, if you want to then upgrade to VIP, you can do that for $197. And that gets you the recordings. And you also get some a small group Q&A with Meredith, Jen, and Vanessa. And also there's some 2 lunch breaks where we're calling it BYOL, bring your own lunch, where you bring your lunch, be in front of the computer, have lunch with a bunch of other people. And Shannon Cunningham will be moderating that group. So that will be, she's got a lot of fun things planned for that group too.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Sandy, for being here. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, everybody needs to go to Book More Travel Workshop, especially if you're needing a pick-me-up. I cannot highly recommend it enough. I've said in some of my posts, this is better than Asta and Clea, in my opinion. It's better than my host agency's stuff. So if that doesn't tell you something about how good I think the event is, I don't know what will.
Well, and I think that's very high praise, and we are very appreciative of it. And it's open to people anywhere and people who are affiliated with any organization. And it's completely open to everybody. We actually have people from 5 different countries registered to attend. So it's quite international this year.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I met somebody, I think she was from Iceland, but maybe she lives now here in the States last year. So
cool.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
we all have more in common than we are different. And we're on the precipice of the greatest comeback our industry has ever seen. And I feel like now is the perfect time for a big shot of great ideas and great inspiration to help carry us through the rest of the year.
Yeah, because that wave is just keeping on building up, and I think it's gonna come crashing. And with Book More Travel Workshop, everybody will be steady on the surfboard.
That's a great analogy. I love that, Rita. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sandy.
Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Yes, it's so wonderful. This has been an amazing time. Have a great day, everybody, and book your ticket for Book More Travel Workshop.
Please do.
Thanks for joining me on The Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. Please subscribe and leave a show rating on your favorite podcast platform. Oh, and don't forget to take a look at the show notes for important information and links. See you next week.